Welcome in, I'm Artris. In this video, we're going to be going over Red Purple Luffy in OP07. I know a lot of people are very much focused on Red Purple Law as the Red Purple deck of choice. However, I think Luffy has a really good spot for being a strong contender for one of these decks that will take a lot of people by surprise, and I feel like some people are just not prepared for this deck. Overall, I think the consensus for this deck is that it's generally weak despite being a 6k leader. You do have 3 life, and your card draw is not really that great. However, since its release, there have been a fair amount of support cards coming out in each set that help make Red Purple Luffy, I think, a fair contender for a pretty strong deck overall. So if you're unfamiliar with the leader, it says activate main once per turn if your field has 0 Dawn, or your board has 8 or more Dawn, add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and make it active. This effect comes up every so often. Obviously, you can ramp up to 8 and then ramp up with the leader effect to 9. And then, of course, if you're using the Time Walk Luffy, which is the 10-drop reset all of your Dawn, you can use your 0 effect there. So this leader, though, is a 3-life leader, 6,000 power body, which is really strong if you're familiar with Newgate. That was one of the reasons why Newgate was a little bit of a hassle. Obviously, besides drawing a bunch of cards, it was a 6k body, so it's naturally defensive. The same thing is applied to Luffy, obviously not drawing nearly as many cards. However, it does have a natural defense built in at being 6k. But before we get into the deck list and see what makes it a viable contender in the OP07 meta, if you find anything in this video useful or informative, please make sure to drop a like and a sub. It helps out the channel immensely, and I cannot thank you enough for the support. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, make sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description below. Would love to have you as part of the community. All right, starting off what we had from the start of when this starter deck Luffy came out, we have 4 Nami. This searches for your Straw Hat crew types, which we have a fair amount in this deck. We have 2k counters, we have a couple of events in Rad Beam and Diablo Jambe, and also Jet Gatling. It also searches out your Time Walk Luffy, which I referenced earlier. I'm going to call it Time Walk Luffy because I played Magic before playing One Piece, and so to me this is like a being able to reset the board and go for another turn afterwards. But Nami grabs a lot of things. The most important thing, though, I think that Nami can grab is the 3-cost Zoro Juro, which we'll get to in a second, but that allows you to ramp up. So Nami is, I think, a good opening piece for you to have. Gives you something to do rather than sit around for the first turn and doing nothing. Next, we're running 4 Edward Newgate. This is an on-play. Up to one of your leader gains plus 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. Then you cannot add cards from your life area to your hand by your effects during this turn. Second part of that clause doesn't really matter because you're not playing Newgate. That was what this is for. However, the plus 2,000 power, already on top of the 6,000 power your leader has, makes it a really strong defensive turn, the turn that you play this out. The second half of this effect, Dawn ×2, when attacking, KO up to one of your opponent's characters 3,000 power or less. There's not going to be a lot of characters that you can KO with that you might want to. Rebecca would be one that I can think of. If you have a Bond Clay on the field on the opposite side, you want to get rid of that, you can use the effect there as well. However, the Dawn ×2 really isn't what you're using this for. You're using it for the defensive plus 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. I'm running 1 Shanks. I was kind of on the fence about running Shanks at all. Shanks takes up an entire turn that you usually are just going to want to use for Luffy, and also on top of that, it doesn't allow you to have any Dawn up for any defensive events like Rad Beam. However, this card is really strong against yellow, like a Nell, for instance. I think a Nell is going to be one of your harder matchups, and Shanks will allow you to at least equalize the board a little bit while putting a big body that pressures them every turn. So Shanks overall, I think you could add maybe up to 2. I wasn't really quite sure on where to add that second one in. You might want to replace one of the kids for it as well, but I think Shanks at 1 is okay. You might not even want to run it, to be honest. However, test it out yourself. Let me know how it goes. Running 3 Baccarat, a new addition from OP07. This is a blocker on opponent's attack once per turn. You may trash 1 card from your hand, give up to one of your leader or characters plus 2,000 power during this battle. So a nice defensive blocker for your leader. Oftentimes it's not going to stick around against like blue or black, even against yellow with some of like their KO effects. So be wary of throwing this down. It might not stick. If it does, it's awesome. If it doesn't, it's a 1k counter at worst. Another new addition from OP07 that I think makes this deck what it is in this meta is Monkey D. Dragon. So we have a Rush card on 8 Dawn that has 9,000 power, and on play give your leader or up to one of your characters 2 Rested Dawn. So usually you'll give it to your Luffy leader and then swing either 8 or 9, and then have another 9,000 power body coming in with the dragon. Additionally, if you already have a Newgate established and then you play this dragon the turn after, you can put the 2 Dawn on Newgate and then use the KO effect basically for free, so you don't have to worry about using Dawn there. So that's really nice, but I think dragon really closes out games. It also really applies a lot of pressure, especially if you're going against Lucci. You want to be able to rush in. You don't want a body to be standing for an entire turn, so Newgate is really tough in that matchup because they might be able to take care of it in a turn, so you're kind of hoping that they don't. However, with Dragon, it doesn't really matter if they take care of it because it already did its job by coming in and having the rush ability come through. Next, we're running 4 Mr. 2 Bond Clay. This is an on-play, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active, and when attacking, choose up to one of your opponent's characters. The character has the same base power as the chosen character for this turn. This is mostly used to ramp up for you. However, it is a very strong threat if your opponent has a big body on the other side of the field. Usually your opponent's going to want to take care of this, and you'll swing in with it, and you know it's going to be gone the next turn because it's only 1,000 power base level. So you're going to use this to at least apply some pressure for the most part. Then we're running 4 Zorojuro. This is what you're going to try to grab off of Nami if you don't have it in your opening hand, especially if you're going first. This is when attacking if you have 3 or less life, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So you automatically get that effect just by swinging with it. So on your 3 Dawn turn, you throw this down. More than likely, it will stick unless you're going against Lucci and they have the exact thing that they need, like maybe enough cards in the trash, plus also a Lucci from their hand. So that would be the only time that they can really get rid of it that I can think of. Obviously, if they have like Stage and maybe like a Brook, they can get rid of it. But for the most part in this meta, Zorojuro will be sticking for the turn that you play it if you go first and have it on curve. Then I'm running 3 of the Time Walk Luffy as I referenced. This is an on-play Dawn -10. Place all of your characters other than this character at the bottom of your deck in any order. Then after this turn, take another turn. Activate main once per turn, pay 1 Dawn, add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So this will, once you throw it onto the field, you'll be able to ramp up a little bit quicker than normal. Obviously not right back to 10, but you can get to 10 relatively close to some of the other additions in the deck, such as the Bond Clay or the Zorojuro if you're able to play one after you play the Luffy. The only downside is obviously placing all of your characters in the bottom of the deck, but what you're trying to do here is use this as a game finisher. So you're going to be able to establish like a Newgate, a Dragon, swing with those, get them down to really low life, either 1 or 0, and then play this Luffy, swing 7 with your leader ability, and then reset the turn, swing all on the leader ability, usually 10 at that point, and then 12 with this Luffy. So you get a bunch of attacks in to try to close out the game. Then I'm running another new addition from OP07. This is Sanji. Sanji is a blocker, but also a 2k counter. It says, while you have 2 or more fewer Dawn cards than your opponent in your hand, this card costs 3 less. So for 3 Dawn, you can play this down after you have already played this Luffy. So you've already wiped the board. You've wiped all your Dawn, and then the following turn, you're up to 4 if you've used your abilities correctly. And then you can play down the Sanji for 3 and have 1 Dawn remaining for like a defensive event, outside of this being a really strong blocker. And additionally, this is a Straw Hat Crew, which is important because it can be grabbed by Nami. Then I'm running 4 Queen. This is another blocker on play, Dawn -1. Draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. You want to be careful with the Dawn -1 effect if you're trying to ramp up to a big body. Dawn -1 on curve will definitely set you back further than you probably would want. So this is something I would, if you're searching for a card and you don't have it and you have enough to ramp back up, you can play this post 8 and be okay, or at least play it on maybe like 7 and know that you're going to be able to ramp up to 9 the following turn after you've used the ability for the Queen. Also with the Law, we're running 2 here. This is another blocker on play, Dawn -1. If your opponent has 7 or more cards in hand, you may trash 2 cards from their hand. Really strong against decks that hoard cards, so Enel is a good example here, although this likely will be popped the following turn that you play it. However, you're just trying to get cards out of hand, which is really nice. Then I'm running 4 Eustace Captain Kidd. I am running 4 because sometimes it is really awkward in between trying to get to your 9 and 10 Dawn. So you'll be sitting at a really awkward stage where you're like, okay, I'm at 8 Dawn, but I can't really get to, I don't have like a Newgate to play on 9. I can't play my Luffy. I can't play my Shanks yet. I haven't seen a Dragon. So Kidd is just an additional card you can play that's pretty strong. It's a 7 cost, so easier for Lucci to take care of course. It has an 8,000 power body, which is always really nice. Usually we'll be able to connect, and for 1 Dawn, it's 9, so that's usually always going to be able to connect to wherever you're trying to go. The on-play and when attacking ability is really nice here. Dawn -1, up to one of your leader gains plus 1,000 power until the start of your next turn. So this makes your leader 7,000 power base for an entire turn cycle, so that if you are able to pair it with the new gate the turn after, you'll be up to 9,000 power, which is really, really menacing. You're basically at the black-yellow Luffy stage without having to be at 0 life, which is really nice for that. The other thing here is that when you're at 8 Dawn, please make sure to use your leader ability first so that you ramp up to 9, then play this kid, and then -1, so you'll go down to 8. Because if you go this on 8 and then you minus Dawn immediately, you can't ramp up to 8 again from that. So you want to make sure you use your ability, your leader ability if you can, before using this card. Then for the defensive events, we're running 4 Rad Beam. It's the best one-cost event in the game. Obviously, there have been some more that come out that are very similar to this, but Red has had this since OP01, and it remains one of the best cards for Red. Your leader or one of your characters gains plus 2,000 power during this battle. Then if you have 2 or less life cards, which is really easy for this leader, that card gains an additional 2,000 power during this battle. Then I'm running 2 Diablo Jambe. Select up to one of your Straw Hat Crew leader or character cards. Your opponent cannot activate blocker if that leader or character attacks during this turn. So this is mostly going to be used for a finisher with either your leader, or you can also use it on the 10-drop Luffy if it's out on the field. So you have a couple of instances where you can use this, and oftentimes you'll just hold on to one the entire game and then just wait until they put up a blocker when they're at 0 life, and then you play the Jambe, and then you just win the game. Then I'm running 3 zero-cost events, the Jet Gatling in purple. This is you may discard 1 card from your hand up to one of your leader or characters gains plus 3,000 power during this battle. So you are running a fair amount of duds, I would say, and so you do want to be able to toss those out if you are in a pinch and you need to be able to stay alive. The other thing is the trigger here. I didn't talk about the triggers for the other counter events because they come up so often, but they're not super important, but I think the trigger for this one, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active, is pretty important, especially if you're looking to ramp up. So this is a nice trigger card, but also on top of that, you're not disappointed to see it in your hand. Overall, though, I would say that this deck has a pretty fair shot at doing okay in this meta. I think there are some decks that definitely will be able to own it pretty easily, so keep that in mind. If you're going against blue, there's a thing called Red Rock, which they can take care of your big bodies pretty easily for, so that's obviously why Dragon is a good card in this deck. If you're going against decks like, I don't know, a Nell, very persistent and hard to kill, you might have some troubles there, so my advice is to stack up as many new gates as possible if you can, before going for like a lethal for the 10-drop Luffy. The other thing that really sucks to go against is Moria, because they'll just eat your hand, so keep that in mind. Although eating your hand to them gets rid of 2Ks in hand for the Peronas, so that's also, I guess, like a trade-off. However, I've played many Moria matches where I am down to like 2 cards in hand, and I'm just like, okay, this sucks. So overall, though, I'd say if you're going against like a lot of Lucci in the meta, you're probably going to be okay. You can actually squeak some wins against Black Yellow Luffy. Bonney can be a tough one, although if you do rush them down fast enough with like Dragon, or getting a Luffy out very, very early, then you should be okay against that matchup. The kid is going to be a little bit of a difficult thing to get past, so once again, you have to kind of like rush past them, and they do run a lot of blockers, but you do apply a lot of pressure, so that's also something to take into consideration there. But overall, let's take it into the sim and just see how it does. All right, going against Doflamingo, we want to take first away from them, and I think this hand is fine. If we can get a Zorojuro off of the Nami, we'll take it. All we can get is their zero-cost event, which sucks, but what can you do? Maybe there's a chance that we can find something with the Nami like the 10-drop if we do another one, and then just go 8 at face. Perfect. Get that. We'll go 8 at face. And then pass. Then this next turn, they'll go 8 at us. Get a body out. We'll take it. And pass. This is pretty interesting, where we can go 7 at face. Okay, they counter out, so then we're not going to play the law down. We'll just go 6. Cool. And this following turn, we can actually just go Luffy. Oh, well, we don't even have the option now. Great. I think we get rid of this. And go 8 at face. And then next turn, if we can play the dragon down. We might be able to block with this. Depending on what they do with these, they might put like a couple Dawn on. I guess we'll take... Yeah, that's fine. Okay. We'll go here. We'll go here. 8. 9. And then just hope for the best. Just hope for the best here. We have one blocker. And we have to be able to counter out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks. So hopefully they don't get rid of the blocker. That's a huge thing. And then maybe we can keep a Jambe up. It's fine. We'll go no blocker. Baccarat. If they do 6 pokes, that's going to be really good for us. Hopefully they do another 6 poke. What could this possibly be? I mean, they have a lot of Dawn to play with. These 6 pokes are great for us since we have a bunch of 1Ks. Guess we go here. And then they might go 6. Oh, so they... didn't choose to play the Jinbei? But they can only go 7 now? No blocker. We'll go Rad Beam. And then we'll go here. And I don't think they're able to, yeah, handle the crackback. I think that was fine. I think that they might have messed up by paying the 1. If they went 3-3, it might have been a problem, but yeah. Oh well. They say misclick, but I'm not sure what they misclicked. Maybe this. Regardless, I still would have been able to counter out of them going 8-8. So yeah, oh well. The pudding definitely hurts us there, for sure. We were able to recover, thankfully, with this dragon, so it is what it is. Perfect. We're going to go first against Lucci. We want to be able to find our ramp pieces. Unfortunately, we did not see our ramp pieces here. So we're going to be off to a really, really slow start, unless we can draw into the Zorojuro this turn. We did not, which is unfortunate. Just unfortunate. We can play the Bond Clay the next turn and ramp up again. Ramp up the first time, not again. So go up to 6, and then we can play the Newgate on curve. Or ahead of curve, actually. So that's nice. And we're also kind of safe here as well. So that's something we like to see. Dragon is also really good against their deck. So that's a good card to grab, or a good card to have back to back. Multiple copies of. Newgate's also really good too. So let's just go 8. We ramped up, so like I said, next turn we'll be able to hit the Newgate. We can go back-to-back Newgates, and them swinging 8 into us is going to be really hard for them, especially if they're trying to play on curve. So they're able to either take care of a body on the board, or swing really heavy into us. I don't think they can do both. So I think that's... we'll take this one. We'll usually just take one. We don't need 3 dragons. What's going on? Oh... I built this deck wrong. Too many dragons. And this is why the Newgate's good, because we can play defensive this next turn. Totally be okay. Hopefully. Now, if they go really hard with the Khalifa, I think that's also okay, because they're not getting rid of something. So what is this? This is like a Brook, I'm assuming. Oh. We actually need the Gatling, so let's not use it here. We have to go down to 1 because we had no other option there, and we can just use our Gatling to be safe. This is a turn where I guess they will counter out of whatever they can. They didn't have anything to KO this Bond Clay, which is really strange. So we're going to keep it there. I don't want to use it to swing into the Khalifa, because, well, to be honest, like, it doesn't really matter. They have 3 Morias in the trash as well, so that's something that is really good for us. But this turn it could be their final Moria. It also could be, I'm assuming because they're swinging, they're just trying to get their leader ability off and possibly play like a Sabo. So down to 6. Oh, so it's not a Sabo. Okay. Down to 4. Brook. Okay. They got rid of a lot of cards doing that. We're going to go 7. Yeah, they are going to be hurting for sure. That is for sure. Cool. That's good for us. I think a Luffy would have been good. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a Luffy anytime soon. If we can untap with this Newgate, if we're able to like swing in, that'd be great. Unfortunately, though, they might be able to KO it this turn. And we also have to protect ourselves pretty well. The Shanks I don't think is a good card in this matchup. I don't want to use all my Dawn just to play this and then be exposed the following turn. So I think this is fine. This is also could be a Stussy play. Go 1, go 6. Or sorry, go 1, go 9. I think we just go here. Okay. Junpei's really good. I think we play down the Nami, see if we can get a... Ooh, Rad Beam is pretty solid. The Rad Beam, return that. We can go here. Go 8 at face. Go 9 at face. I think we just go here. We want to get that body off the field. That's one less body that's going to be hitting at us next turn. Because if they have a baseline 6, they're going to be incentivized to swing with the Sabo. And getting them down to that like 1 life, getting them 1 to 0 is not really a huge difference there. I think if they wanted to, they could have gone like really hard this next turn and potentially like gotten to us. Obviously our hands was bricked up. I have 2 Shanks in here. I don't know why. I thought I took one of them out for the sake of this video, but I must have like altered something in between like the deck list and going in here. So 2 Shanks, don't recommend in this if you don't have to. Usually just 1 is fine. But overall, I think if they like hypothetically, if they went like 10, we would have been fine, right? We could have countered out of 1. We could have taken 1 and then countered out of the other one. But yeah, it's really hard. Especially if you're drawing a bunch of bricks here. That's why the 0 cost event is really important here. So, okay, against Hancock, we're going to go first. We usually want to take first anyway. I don't see any searchers, but I think we can possibly just ramp into what we need. We do have the Zorojuro, which we'll be able to at least attack with. Then a Bond Clay to ramp up again, and then hopefully by then we've drawn into at least 1 top-end piece. Kaya filtering out is really good for them. Even though it's getting rid of a 2K, they are able to get rid of stuff that's probably not very relevant in their hand, like a Gravity Blade. Is not going to really take care of too much on my side of the field. So, yeah. Something to keep in mind is that they might play down a Pudding at some point, get rid of our hand. We're okay taking this because, well, to be quite honest, we want to see if we can get a card that we need. Law is not the best thing here, but also we could just play this down if we need to. Perfect. Get the Luffy. We could go like... Guess we could go... Here. Go 6. And then go 7. Figured as much. They probably just want to stay at 5 life the best that they can. Now that we've gotten an answer, though, that we have the Luffy, I think we're fine. Okay, Moria. Let's grab the Croc. Do we want to find more answers? I guess. Let's see if we can. One, two, three, four, five, six. I do want to play a Sanji down, although, to be fair, it probably is going to get ripped. So let's go 6 here. 7 here. And then 6. They'll likely just go, like, if they have a gravity blade, they can use it here to get rid of these 2 and then swing in for a nice 6. We'll just counter out of that. That's fine. Cool. And then this is where we might have a little bit of an issue, but we're going to bait out. We're going to bait out the Red Rock here. We want to get them low health. We don't want to be playing down the Luffy quite yet, especially if it means, like, yeah, we're baiting out the Red Rock. We don't want that to be a thing that they throw at us, right? So then we just go again. Go here. And play a Baccarat. So they might have 10 drop. If they have 10 drop, that could be a problem, I guess, but we can just maybe rush it down. Not quite sure. Oh, that would have been good to actually play that 10 drop. Although they wouldn't have been able to do anything, really. Okay, they get rid of 1, I suppose. We're not going to use the card action, because we all know what's coming here. Put that at the bottom. Do this. Go 7. They'll likely counter out of this one, but I don't think they're going to be able to counter out of what's coming next. 10 to 12. Going to be hard for them. That is for sure. They have it. But do they have the crackback? I don't think they're going to be able to crack back, unfortunately. Cool. And we win. GG. So yeah, against Boa Hancock, I think this is a deck that you're going to have a little bit of an issue with. I think blue is really difficult for Luffy to deal with because obviously Red Rock answers that very well. However, if they're not establishing more bodies on the field, then it's going to be a little bit easier for us. Hancock, if they were to play this down on curve, I think would have been a problem for us not being able to attack with something and then have a body that just like naturally requires 2 cards out of hand. So yeah, Hancock is going to be a tougher matchup, but I think if you're just able to apply constant pressure, then you should be okay. And keep in mind that you should bait out Red Rocks with like your Luffy, or sorry, your kids. Even the dragons will be good at baiting out Red Rocks. You don't want this to be your only turn, and then the following turn they play Red Rock for it, because then you're going to be back down to like 5 Dawn or whatever it may be, 4 Dawn, and you're kind of just in a pickle if that's the case. All right, against Bonney. Ooh, this is an interesting matchup here. We have the Zoro-Juro and we have a top-end piece, although I will say the Shanks is not necessarily the top-end piece that I want to see, although it will take care of a Doflamingo if they do play it. So that is something to keep in mind, which is nice. Get the Cavendish down. We're going to go 6 face. We don't care if they search with this. Because their curve is very much an even curve, searching with Bonney kind of throws them off just a little bit. They could search with the Bonney and swing 8 or swing 7, I suppose. But I think they usually want to play like a Yarouge down. The other thing is, it's really awkward against Bonney throwing down a Zoro-Juro because you want to get the Zoro-Juro effect off. And because we don't have much, you know, we don't have much to play, I think it's fine to use this as like our pseudo leader in the meantime. So stack a lot of Dawn on and then just swing in. Bunch of Bonney searches. It is what it is. We're not going to attack the Bonney. Like, we're not going to attack these searchers. In fact, these searchers, they're not really going to... They're going to, like, for the most part, help us because they're using their Dawn kind of in an odd fashion. So they have to decide now, oh, do I swing 6 and pressure me? You know, that's one of the things they have to consider. With 7 at lead, they'll rest my leader. The other argument you can make is like, oh yeah, they're finding counters to be able to survive longer that when you're swinging in at them. That is something to consider. We'll pass. I think this next turn, what we could end up doing is... I think we actually just protect the Zoro if we can. Makes sense to me. We'll be at 8. We can go to 9 and then use our leader ability to play a Shanks down. Although Shanks this early is a little awkward because it's like, what target do you hit? There's not really anything you can hit this early that you would want to hit, to be quite honest. So, yeah. You could go, yeah, go 8 next turn. Oh no, you'd only be at 9. No, you'd be at 10 because what you do is you go just swing this. Go to 10. Play the Shanks down. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. Ooh, that's actually really good. Newgate was a great draw there. Now we can pass. Shanks on the following turn. If we have the ability to pop a kid, we can do it. Although the problem with that is, you know, they always have the 2-drop Rosinante blocker to be able to protect it from KOing. So that's the only downside here, but they are on 8, so they can't really just play it and then also play down a blocker and then be okay. We could go after the kid, but I think our chances of doing that is better elsewhere. Although with the Newgate, what you can do is you can just stack 2 on, pop the Rosinante, and then be okay, right? I think we're okay to take a hit here because we're like kind of hungry for cards right now. They don't do anything there. That's fine. What we can do is we can just go 12 at lead, pop a Bonney. We'll go here, card action, draw. Do we care if the Baccarat swings or not? Let's go hit. Let's just get rid of this Bonney. 5-1. I think we're fine doing that. This next turn could be a 10-drop Doflamingo. It would be a really good opportunity for them to do that, of course. And then we just drop the Shanks on him this turn. That's fine. I hope they swing the X-Drake. That'd be really good for us. No reason to use that right now, of course. I guess we could go... It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Minusing a Dawn and then popping it back up to do the Shanks is totally fine for us. Let's go ahead and do that. Just minus a Dawn here. Go 8-5. Leader ability doesn't really matter, because, like, what are they going to rest? We already have stuff that's rested. Get rid of the Doflamingo. This next turn, they might play another Doflamingo. They have so many cards in hand. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a whole slew of them. Arguably, you could say that the Zoro that they might throw down could be a problem. But as long as we can untap this next turn, I think we have a fair shot at like putting on some pressure, especially if we can get a 10-drop Luffy at any point in time. If we don't draw it in the next turn or two, we might just want to play the queen down to then get a better opportunity to draw into it. So I think what would be a fair thing for us here is to take at least one life, go down to 1, see what our top life is here, and then if we don't get a 10-drop off of this or the card draw that we get the next turn, we just play the queen down, play stall for a turn, and see what we can get out of it. But yeah, this is... Okay, Hawkins is good, which means we do get to untap. We do get to untap, which is nice. The worst thing that they can do is go after one of the bodies, I guess. Which means we have to like get rid of a resource in hand, which definitely sucks. But Hawkins is like, we're not going to ever KO it, right? So I think it's fine to do that. Cool. Let's see what we get. Another Newgate's not bad. We'll go 12 at lead. Another Newgate's actually really good. That was a really good draw. That was a really good draw. Go 10 here. They might block this one. I'm not sure. They have so many cards in hand. It's kind of crazy. Go 8 here. We have a pretty big board. So all we need is a 10-drop Luffy. And I think we're looking pretty good, right? $10-drop Luffy would be amazing, although I'm like worried that if they play a 10-drop or a 10-drop Doflamingo of their own, it means that we're going to be stalled for another turn, which sucks. Unfortunate. The good news here is if we protect all of our bodies, we can swing like Shanks 10, get them down to 0. That threatens them on the Jambe for sure. And then they might rest a Newgate. If they rest a Newgate, then we have another Newgate to swing with. We're at least swinging with one Newgate if we can at least protect our units or not have a 10-drop hit us. The other thing to consider is that they might just have a... what is it called? Oh yeah, Kid. Kid is like the one thing we also don't want to see. If they have it, now would be a good time to play it, although they are just blocking, like walling up as much as possible. Totally understandable. Against all of these big bodies, they definitely want to stall as much as they possibly can, because I think they're just trying to find the pieces that they need in order to win the game. A Zoro for them is definitely, I think, a very good win condition that hopefully they don't draw into. Or maybe they don't feel like it's the right time to play it at any point in time because, you know, we now have these big bodies on the board that a couple of them are swinging through, right? So something to consider there. Yeah, they realize that. They realize that they have to start going after bodies. They could go 10, I suppose. Yeah, let's just do this. This could be one of those times where they swing 8, right? Because they could feel comfortable doing so, right? If they just stack the rest of the 2 on, they have the Euroge to be able to restand a Dawn, which sucks for us because then we get rid of the Queen, but it's okay. We have a queen of our own. Totally, we got another queen. Perfect. Love to see it. Cool, they get rid of one of the new gates there. Which means we can go up to 7 with this. Totally fine here. We're going to go queen. Play this down. This hurts. But I think we need to be more defensive here. So we'll go here. Nine at face. Use the card action. We just have to be very, very protective of what we're doing here. So that's the only thing that we have to keep in mind. We could go 1, 2, 3, so we're at 7. We could go 10. And 11. Keep one up. Yeah, they have to use the Hawkins there. I think their answer to potentially win this turn is Hody Jones. Hody Jones resting. We should have kept that in mind. Yeah, resting this is a problem. So we should have kept up Tudon so that we have a Rad Beam. We'll see if we get punished for it. The Cavendish here could be the reason that we lose, is because they actually are able to get 2 more Dawn off of it and then start swinging really hard at face. So we definitely can't counter out of this one. We're going to go here. We just need a counter. Unlucky. All right, we're going to go first. Let's keep this hand. We're going to keep the Jambe against Law because that's a really important card here. Let's go Nami into... Sanji is the only thing we can grab, and let's pass. All right, the Nico Robin. We don't really have anything else to play, so let's just go 5. And then 6. And then pass turn. Hopefully we can find something like a Bond Clay to ramp up. Even though they have the Nico Robin, I don't mind it getting popped if it means we can get to 7 quickly. Luffy's fine. We don't really need the Shanks, unfortunately. It's kind of like an awkward card for us. We're just going to go all in, go 11. We don't have any other plays here, and then unfortunately we're not going to have a play until next turn anyway, so we can play down the Kid, go up to 7, swing 7 at them, and then play down this Newgate. I don't care about being too defensive here because I don't think they're going to get too many chips in here. They'll probably get 1, and even then I'll probably just counter out with this one. We'll go here. They could go like 1, 1, leader ability, play a Zoro, swing the Zoro for 6. I think it's fine to counter out of that one as well. The other thing to keep in mind here is we want to be able to get to Newgate as soon as possible. I think Newgate's really helpful. So I know that playing the 7 drop is going to prevent us from playing it like super early. We can still get up to the Newgate. We can go like 7 drop into Newgate next turn. We'll go 7. This is probably an easy like block 2K. We'll pass. We do want to play the Newgate down next turn and then use the Kid ability to minus. Cavendish is such a good card in this deck, by the way. It allows them to really efficiently use their Dawn, which is nice. I think this turn, we don't want to take too much damage, unfortunately. Bounce the Dawn to get the... What are they going to bring out? Chopper. Okay. That's actually pretty good. We're going to be able to have a 9k leader for at least 2 turns here, which I think is pretty powerful. Next turn, we could just end up using the Jambe, but I don't know. It depends on how much Dawn they leave up here. Overall, they also might just go for the kid because it's a little easier to take care of. Swinging into an 8 is a little easier than swinging into a 9. Okay, swinging into a 6 is even easier, so that's fine. We don't mind this going down, to be quite honest. It's totally fine for us to do that. We could just go Newgate. Actually, we could just go for game here. Next turn, we could go Newgate. They're probably going to block. They might actually just counter out. Hopefully, they counter out of the Newgate attack. And then if they don't, the block, we can then use our Luffy, swing 7, hopefully get something out of hand, and then be able to Jambe, which is pretty nice. It's fine. See, this is why this law is great. Being able to restand this is so nice. Go 10 to 5. We'll use this Luffy. We'll return. We might have done this a little early, but we'll see. Hopefully we can get 2 cards out of hand here. I feel pretty comfortable doing that. Yeah, 2 cards. That's pretty good. End the turn. We'll go here. Go 6. Probably another 2k, and then we can just go 15 at lead, which is probably going to be pretty hard for them to counter out of. Unless, of course, they've just stored up all of the 2ks in the world. So we're just trying to get them out of hand, though. 15. Unblockable. See if they have it. This is why I think it might have been a little early. We could have played one more turn to be defensive. But yeah, they didn't have it. Overall, though, Law's in a pretty good spot, I think, in the meta. If you just avoid Lucci, of course. I can't believe it. I spent probably about like 2 hours trying to find Lucci matches, and I don't know why, but there's like no Luccis on the sim for whatever reason. So I finally got one, thankfully, and then the Bonney match I thought was going to be a good show of just like what the deck can do and what you're probably supposed to do. And of course, I fumbled it at the end, but I still think it's a good gameplay to show you guys like, this is what the deck is supposed to do. It can win against Bonney. Obviously, pilot error can be a thing. But overall, I think Red Purple Luffy is a pretty solid deck. I think if you're looking for something that can go face, don't really care about the board and just try to apply as much pressure to your opponent as possible, this deck is a great deck for you. I think that there's a lot of different decks you can play in the OP07 meta. There's a huge amount of diversity, which I don't think we've had in quite some time, and it feels really healthy right now. Of course, we're looking ahead in OP08 a little bit in the East, and it doesn't look like we're going to get as much diversity there, so just enjoy OP07 as much as possible. Please, if you take RP Luffy to a local or to a bigger event, let me know in the comments below. Would love to know how you do. If you would like to make any changes to the deck, let me know as well. Would love to hear your input on what you think also could fit in here. But overall, I think this deck list is pretty solid, minus maybe a couple cards here and there. So overall, yeah, I think RP Luffy, pretty good. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.